Hey, showtime. All right. Again, good evening, good evening, good evening. And hold on, I think there's a bit of technical difficulties. I think my video is a bit blurred. Let me just quickly adjust and see if I can make this better. If not, then it's also fine. Let me see. Beep, 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 beep. Is it better? Is it better? I think it's slightly better. All right. Good. Okay. Hi. I'm sorry about that. Like this is live. That's why if there's any technical difficulties, you will actually experience it live as well. So hi, I'm Jovan, and if you are new here, let me quickly introduce myself. So I'm a mindset coach, and I coach wannabe entrepreneurs or people who wants to start their business, and I help develop a very strong entrepreneurial mindset. And of course that entrepreneurial mindset goes really really deep into, like, the beliefs, like removing limiting beliefs and all these things, and helping these wannabe entrepreneurs achieve the dream business and dream life that they want. So yeah, so that's me. And if you're new here, say hi in the chat. I would love to say hi back. And also, please do help by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel so that more people who wants to start their business get to see the content and also consume the content. All right. Good. So before I start answering questions and change my state into the professor mode, I hope everyone is feeling well today. If you are not, I hope you will get well soon, because I also underwent. I am about maybe 90% back to my health. For the past few days, I haven't been feeling well as well, and it's interesting how our body kind of like reacts and recovers at the same time. So I was really sleeping a lot, so I would wake up my normal hours like 6 a.m., and I would eat breakfast. Then I would feel sleepy again, and I would sleep and then wake up, and then do a little bit of like work. I wouldn't even call that work. And then maybe eat lunch if I'm hungry. If I'm not, then sleep again. So basically, I was like sleeping almost the whole day for 2 days, and I think it was also okay for me to do that because in preparation I'm gonna be really busy. This coming December, I have some mentorship programs, and yeah, a lot of things I plan for December. So I want to really recover well, take care of my health. So just a quick reminder to each and every one of you listening to this video is that do take care of yourself as well, and like have enough rest, eat well, and of course at the same time take care of your mental health. All right, good. So I want to say hi to people here while I was doing the quick reminder to everyone to take care of your health. So Hindin is here. Hi, hello. Thank you for being here again. By the way, she's the one who won the coaching session last month when I did a raffle for my birthday month. And then we have Honey here as always. Let me just quickly change that to. I think this is what I use. Let me do that again. No, not that. That's not the one. Hold on a bit. Uh, is this the one that I used to use? Feels like it's a different. Hey, no. Is it a classic? I think it's the classic. Okay, let me see that. Yes, that's the one. I want the cool banner. Okay. Hi, honey. And then we have Uyen as well. We have Huang Tu Tao. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And then, of course, Christine Kane, the Silent Wave. And then we have JB Medrano. Of course, same surname as me and same head as me, then you know who it is. It's actually my dad. So, hello for being here. Thank you for joining. All right. So, we are back into talking about business, right? So, let me just start off this week, and I'm going to change my state, and that will make me even more ready to answer your questions. So, bing. All right. So, a few things, right? This changing of state, just very quickly, is that in neurolinguistic programming, we have the power to using our mind to actually change our state um, anytime we want, as long as we set it up, and then if our intention is there. So this is a powerful tool that we have in neurolinguistic programming. All right. Okay. Okay, let's start answering questions. I'm super excited. I'm just checking in. I think we have some technical issues as well now with streaming in Facebook. I'm seeing it right now. Maybe the team can help to check that. Okay, so good. Thank you very much. Okay, the main question this week is money the most powerful resource in doing business? All right. Um, this is a very important question because I think a lot of people get stuck in terms of whether they have started their business or whether they are running already their business. And they get stuck into the idea that money is really the most important thing, right? In terms of business. It is important. I'm not like saying it is not. What I'm saying is that it is important. Money is important, and you know what they say, right? Like, um, cash is king, right? Cash is king, and if you are able to handle your money in the business very well, then your business will survive. So, right? But when it comes to the question, if it's the most powerful resource in doing business, for me, the most powerful resource that you can have as an entrepreneur is actually resourcefulness. Let me say that again, right? So, for me, the most powerful resource in doing business is resourcefulness. Resourcefulness. Okay, let me explain. So there's two things here. So one is resource. So we're talking about resource, right? And money falls under resource. And then you have people. So manpower. So people or your staff or your employees, whatever you want to call them, is part of resource as well. And then you have, let's say, for example, technology, like software or maybe your computer, your machines in business, whatever your business is. So though all of those are resource, and there's this notion that resource is limited, right? So scarcity. So all our resources are scarce. And so what I've learned is actually the resources is abundant. So it's just that someone said that, ooh, our resources are limited, but that was like super many years ago. And until now, it has been proven many, many times over again that that's actually not true. The truth is there is abundance. And the reason why there's abundance is because us human beings, we are very, very resourceful, right? So we're creative, we are ingenious, we are very flexible, we our minds are super, super good. What I'm looking for the word, it is super, super talented. Like our mind, we can only access a very small percentage of our mind's capability. Did you know that? And we have already thought about, like, amazing things. We've created the rocket, we've created, like, solar power. Like, our mind is already able to create many, many things, because of our creativity, because of our resourcefulness. And for me, that's the most powerful resource in doing business. Because if you can be resourceful, then that cuts out all, like, if you have excuses, like, people will say, oh, I cannot start a business because I don't have, like, $1 million. I cannot start a business. Well, if you think about it, if you are resourceful enough, there are people out there who manage to start big businesses without even putting money in it, right? And they have, what they did is to sell their idea to people who have the money, and these people put in the money into the business. They're called investors, basically. So once you get the idea that resourcefulness is the most powerful thing, whether you're doing business or you're at work or whatever, because this is totally applicable to anything, any area of your life, then you start thinking differently, right? How can I be resourceful? How can I make this happen, right? And I was speaking to someone earlier, and they were she was given a challenge of traveling to a country with nothing except for her passport. And if this the same thing happened to me, I tell you, I wouldn't be scared. And it's because I believe for myself, that I'm very, very resourceful, and that I can make things happen. And so I think that's the most powerful thing that you can have in terms of mindset, is that you can make it happen. Anything is possible as long as you can put your mind into it. So remember that, right? So resourcefulness, remember that resourcefulness. Okay, good. And that is our main question, and I would love to answer more questions. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. Let me say hi to the other viewers. Yenny's here. Hello, everyone. So those are the regulars, and also Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Nice looking picture, by the way. And then what's this? Box. So honey put three boxes. Okay. So those who were watching in Facebook, I apologize. It seems like there's a problem. There's a problem with StreamYard, and yeah, so it's the software that we're using, and there's some error in terms of connecting to Facebook. Okay, so no problem. Again, resourcefulness, right? So if you were watching in Facebook and it was cut off, feel free to move to YouTube, because we are in YouTube as well. All right, good. Okay, this is a very good follow up question from the first one. So Tudao asked, Is it possible to do business without funds? Yes, and this is actually very easy to answer for me because I've done this multiple times, which is start a business without funds. And so let me clarify that again. When we talk about without funds, what I actually mean here is that without your own funds, right? Without your own funds, meaning you don't put a capital using your own money or loaning it from the bank. That's also possible, right? So there's many ways. So let me give one example. So um, it is possible for you if it fits your business to actually sell your product or service first, right? So if you can find your first few clients and sell your product or service first, then they're willing to pay for it, right? They're willing to pay for it, then you can actually start your business that way, meaning you haven't really started any, you haven't, maybe you haven't even registered your business, or maybe you haven't even done your logo, you don't have a company name yet, right? So uh, if you can do that, if you have a very clear and very good idea of what your product and service is, then if you can sell it and someone wants to buy it from you or is willing to buy and give you money, then your business has started, right? You started a business without putting in your money already. So um, a very real example of this was when I started my property management business a few years ago. And so that business, basically, my clients were in Singapore, and their properties that I was managing was in Philippines. And so in order for me to do like some work for them, basically a service, so I sold them. Basically, I told them, okay, I can do that for you. I can take care of the paperwork, the government permits, and whatever they needed. And I will fly back to Philippines, and I'll take care of everything for you. I'll come back to Singapore, and then I'll give your documents, right? And so that's the service that I sold to them. And of course I charged them like, okay, this will be my fees. So instead of them flying to Philippines, I took care of everything for them, and they happily paid me for that, right? So they happily paid me for that, because imagine, my clients, they needed to take leave from their company. And of course, if they take leave, they also need in, because in the Philippines, if you own a property, basically, you and your spouse owns that property. So in all the paperwork, you and your spouse needs to, kind of like sign all of these documents. So there'll be two people. So now, for example, it's a husband and a wife needs to take a leave from the company as well, and they both have to fly to Philippines. So they two air tickets, right? And then they need to stay in a hotel. And so that's just one room, but they need to pay for food and their transportation and everything. And so it's a lot of cost and a lot of disturbance in their own life, right? So they are willing to pay me to actually save all of that cost. And and so they gladly became my client. And so since I'm flying back to Philippines already, and I had a few clients, so I proposed the same thing to other clients. And luckily there were two or three other potential clients that agreed to it, and so they paid me as well. And yeah, so I managed to get four clients to pay for my trip to Philippines. So that's basically how it all started, right? And then I grew that business to I think at the peak of it, I had about 30 units, 30 properties that I was handling. And it's pretty good business, by the way, properties. So if that is your thing, then I highly suggest that that's a business that you can take on, right? So without even starting funds. So if you're very good at selling, if you know your target clients, then that's good. So I hope I answered that question, Tutal. All right, good, good, good. Oh, there's some more people here. Like father, like son. Yes, and yeah. Fortunately and unfortunately. I'm very fortunate because my dad is actually quite handsome guy. Uh, Unfortunately, yes. The hair thing. So yes, hi everyone for being. Thank you for being here. Let me see. Let me answer some other questions. So since Uyen was talking about my dad, so let me answer her question. So it's now a good time to start a business. It's now a good time to start a business. My answer, and because for me, there is really, really no good time to start a business. So the answer to this is yes. Um, whether the economy is doing really well or whether the economy is doing pretty bad, you can always start a business and make it profitable. So it's always about the fundamentals when you start a business, right? So I always say this is that when you want to start a business, are you really solving a world problem, right? And because if you are really solving a world problem, and it won't go away easily. And so that is the first thing. So your business needs to solve a world problem, and you're off to a good start, right? But that's not only what it needs. So then the other fundamental thing that you need to have there is that you need to have a very solid idea of how you want to go about it. So this is your business model. This is, your business strategy, marketing plan, and whatever, right? So this is something that we can discuss in more details in some other question. But basically, one is having that idea of you're solving a real world problem. Second is that you must have a clear idea of how you want to go about it. And then third, which is to me is also super important, if not the most important, you need to have a very strong mindset, like that entrepreneurial mindset, wherein you are open to learning, you're open to growing. And a lot of people struggle when they start a business because when it comes to the mindset part, their ego is getting them stuck. So the ego is that thing that is inside us that is stopping us, or this for this at least for these people, right, from succeeding in building a successful business, because the ego is sometimes the one that is telling you that no, you're not good enough, like it's okay, you just stay there, and you'll be fine, you are okay now, where you are. Or maybe that your ego is telling you that um, oh, don't do that, do this. And so the ego actually stops you from, starting from the bottom and becoming like having that childlike demeanor and behavior, wherein you're just curious and learning about new things. Because ultimately, I think 80 to 90% of us, including me, we never learned entrepreneurship when we were in school, right? No one actually taught us how to run a business. And so we need to humble ourselves. We need to go down and really have that openness to learn from other people, to learn from books, from courses, and from those learning, then we can take it on and then try it out ourselves, and then from there, once we become better and we master it, then you can add your own thing, you can add your own flavor, right? So the worst thing that people do is that they think they know already. Oh, I know that. No, I don't need to listen to you. And that's the ego that is speaking, right? So going back to the question, there is really no good time to start a business. So to answer that question is yes, it's definitely a good time to start a business now, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe next week. So the if your dream is to start your own business, then the faster you can start it, the better, because then you have more time to learn and adjust and make that business even better in the future, right? So thank you for that question. That is a very good question. All right, so halfway through. So if you are here, please do help to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, I mean, hopefully, if you can help spread the word about my YouTube channel, that I'll be super, super grateful. And I know it's really a grind and a journey to improve the channel. But I'm hoping I will be able to hit 1,000 subscribers soon as well. And that's kind of like a milestone that I've set. Um, yeah, hopefully that will happen soon. But now I'm just focusing on the process and keeping things working. All right. I saw a very good comment from Honey. You look handsome too. Are you talking about me? Thank you so much. Um, all right. Let me continue answering some of the questions. And we're still talking about cash. Let's see. We're still talking about cash. How to effectively manage cash flow in the business. And cash flow is an interesting thing, right, in business. What I've learned from my own personal experience is that actually the way we handle money personally, most likely, majority of the time, will also reflect in how we handle the business. So if personally you're someone who is very tight with money, right? Most likely in the business, it will appear the same way, right? You'll become very tight and things like that. Um, and then when you're someone who is easy with money, like you can spend easily, and so that will happen in the business as well. So I noticed myself in the past I was more on the spending easily. So again, it's neither good or bad. It's just being aware. So there are times in the business that you need to be really, really tight, and then there are times that you need to spend. So if you are too tight and you need to actually spend, the business might not expand fast enough. But then there will be times that like you need to be tight, but you are actually spending, and so you might kind of like lose a lot of money, and that will affect the business negatively as well. So, and the key here is to really understand how objectively you want to move your money, and based on your strategy. So you need to have at least some rules in your strategy, like how do you want to handle your money? Do I use cash for marketing, like how much of the whole percentage of my money I can use to put into the marketing side of things. So that is something that you need to set at the start. But the thing is, in business, you need to be also very, very flexible and nimble, right? You need to you need to be always very, very aware so you can adjust along the way, and your guide will be that structure that you have, right? So that's how you can effectively manage cash flow, is understanding how personally you handle cash as well. And then second is having a strategy in your business on how much money you got to spend on each area, when do you want to spend, who says yes and who says no, and like all of this, like the decision makers and all of these things. So once you have that clear, then it becomes easier to manage your cash in terms of business. But of course, the reason why we want to hold cash in the business, because cash is very liquid, and it's very easy to immediately take it and use it for something. So if you can build cash in terms of your business as fast as you can, then that will be good. I think that's one of my biggest mistake in my first business was, like what I said, right? I was more on like a spender, and I grew my business from one store, the frozen yogurt business, from one store, that it became four within 1 year, 1.5 years, and so I never thought of saving the cash. So to me, it was like, okay, my business is earning. Okay, I invest this to a new store, new machine, buy new machines, hire new employees, and so that's kind of like what happened. So I started using the cash and investing it, right? And again, there's no good or bad, right or wrong about that. It's just that I spent too much, that I didn't actually save cash. So you need to have like a reserve for your business, because interestingly, because it's my first business, I didn't know that there will be a downturn, right? Like when the economy is pretty bad, then you need to be prepared as a business as well, not just as a person, not just as an entrepreneur, but also the business needs to be prepared. You have reserves so that you can tide through that, bad period. Like for example, this pandemic, who would have thought that it would take this long, right? This pandemic. So definitely you need to have a spare cash in order to survive that. So that's one thing that you need to understand as well, right? So you need to be wary, like how much do I spend, how much do I save. Yeah, so that's kind of like similar to personal budgeting or personal management of your money. All right, very good question. Okay, who else is here? Say hi. Oh, hello, Aurora Medrano. So the other Medrano is my dad, and this is my mom. Hi, mom. So both my parents are here today. I'm so happy. Thank you for supporting me, for always being my pillars of support. I was just thinking about my parents today, because I think I'm very close to another big transition in my life, and I'll share that in the future. But there's gonna be a big transition in my life, and I always remember my parents and my sisters are, basically my family is always been very, very supportive of me and my craziness, and the things that I do in life. So yeah, thank you very much. I love you. I love you all. Right. Okay. Good. Let's get that out of the way, and let's go back into answering questions. All right. Honey, what is personal brand and how does it work in business? Okay, so personal brand is actually a choice. Mm, because ultimately you can a business it in itself is primarily the brand, right? So when we talk about brand, let's say for example Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola is a brand, and then opposite Coca-Cola we have Pepsi, and then let's say for example Nike, you know, the shoes. So that's a brand, and then Adidas. Nowadays you have, you know, Reebok, and other types of shoes, right? So brands are like that. Well, another example is our cars. So we have BMW, we have, you know, Toyota, for example, we have Tesla, right? Okay, so those are the brands. And so let's say for example we take Nike. So if you think about Nike, can you imagine or think about a person like the one who started Nike, the one who founded Nike? No, right? So we basically we cannot think about that person. So it's only what we know, what we perceive is only the company brand, right? And then let's say for example we think about let's say we think about McDonald's. So McDonald's is, you know, we know the golden arch, right? We know the golden M, and we can think about the fries, we can think about their burger, and we kind of like have an idea of how McDonald's is, and we know its brand. But do we really know who started McDonald's? Right? Some of you who have maybe had started studying business, you probably know of Ray Kroc. So Ray Kroc was the one who started McDonald's, but you don't know who he is, you know what he represents, and things like that. So basically, there's no personal brand there as well. You only know the business brand, right? But let's talk about Tesla. Immediately, you think about Elon Musk, right? So you know Tesla, you know the car, you know the letter T, and you know how it's solar powered. It's some of them are, you know, automatic, and I mean it runs on its own. And then you can imagine Elon Musk, right? This guy, this crazy in super intelligent guy who is basically a workaholic. And so you know, you kind of like know that this is the guy who started Tesla, and this is the guy who first thought about all these crazy things. And so that is the personal brand. So Elon Musk managed to create his own personal brand alongside with his company brands, right? And so with this brand, he is able to uplift um, SpaceX, all of these things, right? Okay, let me give another example. Um, Apple. So if we think about Apple, then we think about Steve Jobs, right? So Steve Jobs also managed to do a really good job of creating a personal brand, and because of that, it uplifted the Apple brand with him. And so that's the advantage and basically disadvantage of having a personal brand. So if you're really good at creating a personal brand, then it will help your business. And if you're not, then it will also decimate or destroy your business, right? Okay. So that is basically a personal brand. And how does it work in a business? So it will really depend on, like what I said, a choice. So if your business doesn't necessarily need to have a hero, a personal hero alongside with it, then you don't need to have a personal brand tied to that company, right? But for example, if your business is reliant on a particular role, let's say, for example, training. So in training, typically there's a hero, right? So there's a hero that they need to build a personal brand. So you might be thinking of Anthony Robbins. You might be thinking of, let's say, for example, Robert Kiyosaki, or maybe Brendan Burchard, Marie Forleo. So all of these names, they are already very big, and because they managed to build a very good personal brand with their company, so they are the focus of these brands, right? So that's basically how it works. Basically, brand is just recall. So for people to really remember you, they need to be able to recall a particular brand. That's what we're talking about. All right. So if your business doesn't need that hero, let's say for example a property management business, then you don't need a personal brand for that. You just promote your own business, and if you want to grow it, then you build a brand around it. Right. Good. Thanks for that question. And let me pause for a bit and drink my water. I'm just posting this so that my parents can see. So someone says they're so cute. Thank you for that. And I'm thanking on behalf of them. Okay. Oh, this is a very interesting question. So Brishan asked how to survey the market wisely. Mm, okay, so surveying the market is, I think it depends on the business that you are gonna go into. So if it's the local market, then it's actually easier than it's easier than you can think of. Like just go and approach people, and you need a little bit of thick skin. Approach people and ask them, oh, I'm doing a survey, could you fill up this form. uh, or if you have a particular idea of who your target clients are, then you can form a focus group, and just get their feedback from there. So that's how you get started with a survey. Or if you are very good online, you can immediately use ads, for example Facebook ads, to launch a survey. And then of course you need to compensate these people. Like for example, they get a freebie, or some companies actually do give money for surveys. And you can also do that, same thing. Now, if your target clients is global, it's bigger, then you need to, because now that it's global, you need to understand different cultures, different time zones, and all of these things. And even though you are very clear when it comes to your target client, you need to consider all these other aspects as well. And so when you do your survey, and by the way, since it's global, then of course you need to reach out to more people, and so that you can have a better sense of, like your survey is, if it's accurate or not. Yeah. If you only get a few answers for your survey, then it might not reflect the real, views of the market. So you need to have very good amount of response, right? So that's kind of like how you want to go about it, wisely. Of course, not spending a lot of money into it, just enough so that you can get started. And I always say this as well, even before you start your business, test it out first, right? Test it out. Like after you do a market survey, then you get a feedback, then test it out, because that's the only time you will really get a real feedback from the market when you actually sell your product and services. That is that is the only way. That is the only way. All right. Thank you for that, Rishan. Good, 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 good. Oh, wow. Yenny, oh, Yenny always asks me this question. I think this is a very good question. So, have you ever wanted to give up going to work and do nothing? I'll tell you this very honestly already. Is that I multiple times I've thought about giving up, and not just giving up and doing nothing, but really giving up and maybe even doing something, like maybe going back to employment. uh, I've always been honest to all of you that entrepreneurship is really challenging, right? So I never, I don't want to sugarcoat, the journey, because honestly, that the challenging part of entrepreneurship, the struggles, the times where like you don't know what else you can do, but then like you really work on it, strive, and then suddenly you get the idea and then you do it, and then whoa. So all of that is actually part of the growth. And so I believe that that is the thing that we want to experience, because without the struggles, I think it's not meaningful, it's not worth it, right? So anyway, going back to this, because of those challenges, there were many times, multiple times, that I really thought to myself, oh shit. I mean, I will say it, oh shit. um I think I'll just go back, to working in a company, being an employee again. And it it feels so sad when I kind of like think about those things. Especially, and he hasn't stopped, by the way. He hasn't stopped. So because the interesting thing about the journey is, so you start from here, and then like you work through it, and then you hit a wall, and then that's kind of like the first time you say, shit, this is so hard. And then you kind of like really work through it, and then you get your breakthrough, and then you'll be like, whoa, I'm the king of the world, right? Like, whoa, I'm Superman. And you start going up, and you feel like you've managed to develop as a person, as an entrepreneur. And then you go on to the next level, and then you hit another wall, and then it's a same thing happens. It's like, oh, then you again break through, and then you go to the next level. And so that's kind of like the journey. But that's the fun thing about it. I mean, to me as well, is not knowing what's going to happen next. And knowing myself and my resourcefulness, and I've done it so many times, right? Knowing that I can actually do it, and I can actually figure it out. That's exciting for me as well. But definitely, I've thought about giving up already. And the interesting thing is, and we talked about this in the mindfulness session, is that these are thoughts. These are just thoughts, right? And you always have a choice whether you want to follow your thought or not. And that's the beauty of it. You can have many thoughts in your mind, every single time, and you can just choose to ignore it. And so that's what I've been doing. So the thought, comes up, and I say, oh my God, I'm gonna give up. And at that moment, it might feel, or it felt so real. Then then I thought, yeah, I'll just give up. No, I won't give up. Then I will continue, and then chuk, 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 and then I get my breakthrough. So so that is the beauty of having a very strong entrepreneurial mindset, is that you get focused and go back to why you are doing this thing in the first place, right? So yeah, so I hope I answered that question, Yenny. And because definitely there will be challenging times that will, if you are gonna be going into your entrepreneurship journey, there'll be times that it will be very, very challenging, but it's okay. Keep at it. Keep at it. Thank you for that question. All right, maybe one or two more. Let's see. Let's see how long I will be speaking. All right, Hindin has a question. This is a very good question. So, what do you love to do for your free time, Jovan? Good question. So, maybe I'll answer this in two general aspects. So one is, some of my free time is very intentional, and then some of the other free time is not intentional. So let me explain. So what I mean by intentional is that I probably would have scheduled things in it. Like for example, maybe really taking for example, a detox or a massage, or maybe, for example, reading a book or meeting up a friend. So those things that are very intentional, I would normally put them in my calendar, right? So I put them in my calendar, and so from a free time, then it becomes a not a free time basically. So those are very, very intentional, right? And there's a lot of things that I'm interested in. I play sports, or maybe I exercise. Then on the non-intentional free time, what I do non-intentionally for that free time is, it can be like just Netflix, or maybe I watch YouTube, mm, and or maybe I go for a random walk. That's something that I love to do nowadays. Is I would just go out and do a 20-minute walk, for example. And so those are not like planned, not intentional. We just spur of the moment when I have a free time that I want to kind of like spend for myself. Then that's what I do normally, right? So Netflix, normally it's Netflix. Yeah. Thank you for that question, Hindin. All right. I think we have one more. We can answer one more. Okay. Tan Tan ask, what are the things we need to prepare, or the steps before we plan our business strategy? Okay. So normally what I would ask someone who wants to start their own business, right? So the first step, before you even plan your business strategy, right? So the first step is actually, what is your business idea, right? So I would normally ask that, what is your business idea? And second, I'll probably ask client, why that business, right? So from these two, so what is the business idea, and then why this business? From these two, I would roughly know from the client who wants to start a business, where they are at, right? So where they are, and understanding where they are is essential, because then I can assess what will be the next steps from there, right? So business strategy is typically much later on, right? Because like what I said, right? One of the things that is important for me is for you to test the market, and so that comes even earlier than the business strategy. Business strategy is when you are clearer in, when you are really clear in, almost everything in your business. Then it's easier to do your strategy, yeah, rather than later, right? So the first steps is really understanding what is your business idea, and then why that business. That's what I can say. All right. Good. Very good questions. Hindin was, thank you for your answer. I thought you always been busy. No, of course not. Of course not. So maybe I add on to this, and I think Hindin made a very good point. Um, I think for us to have uh, okay, so business requires focus, right? So in order to focus, we need a lot of energy. And as humans, we only have very limited time where we can really focus. So we need to understand that if we only have very limited time in how, in our focus, then we need to use this for things that are important for us, right? So that's what I normally do. So I put this focus in, like one, maybe two to three things that are very important for me in that day, and then after that, then I need to take a break. So that break is also essential because it's kind of like a recharge time for your mind, so that you can gain a little bit of focus again, like focus energy, and then you can use that afterwards. But of course, it's not the same as when you started, like when you started the day and then you use that focus energy. So that's kind of like how it works. So we really need to have breaks in order to take care of our focus, energy, and our mind, right? So yeah, those are the things that I do in order to actually take a break. Right? Good. Right. Thank you for that, Mindy. Okay. I think this is the final one. Final question for tonight. What do businesses need to do to have a stable human resource system? A very interesting question. Um, and I'll be answering this based on, I would say, some more or less theory, rather than excuse me, rather than an actual, how to say, an actual experience, because I haven't run a very big company yet. So I think one of the things that I can suggest in order to have a stable human resource system is to really build a first and foremost, you need if that is not your strength, like mine, definitely human resource is not my strength. Is to definitely get someone who's very good at it. So bring in someone who's very good at HR. um, and hold on, there's some notification here. Okay, so someone who's very good in HR, and then from there, I think work from that, right? And in any systems in the business, whether it's marketing, whether it's finance, whether it's HR, all of this, all of these areas, they always need to go back to what is the company values, right? So every area, every department needs to be aligned with the company values, so that it operates, in integrity. Yeah. And so having that person really understand, this is the company values, and the systems that we need to create needs to be aligned with these values. Then it will work in integrity. So let me give a very good example. So, for example, one of the company values is fun, right? So, fun is the company values. So, as an HR, they need to be able to provide this value to the employees. So, for example, how do we create fun for the employees? So maybe having retreats would be, yearly retreats would be good for the employees, or maybe even learning. Learning is actually quite fun. So bringing in those kind of learnings to invoke fun, or maybe some Friday night beer sessions, or so some startups actually do that, and so that creates fun and it's aligned with the company values. So by having all of those things, then everything is aligned in integrity. Then that's how you can create a very stable human resource system, or a marketing system, or the finance system, or the sales system, etc. So as long as everything is aligned with the company values, then it will work very stably, and in integrity. All right, good. And we are overtime again, 2 minutes. Thank you for staying. All right. So Hani and Huang Tu Tao saying thank you. You're very welcome. Uh, Thank you from Huyen, and then Honey also. All right. Again, I won't keep you much longer. Thank you everyone, and have a good night. And I'll see you again next week. All right. Bye.